to hear if I don't put in the microphone. I'm going to be working on houses today. In this subdivision, there's a lot of two-story houses and much larger houses than many of the houses that I've worked on. Also, larger yards as well. So I guess you could say I'm getting into the nicer subdivision of this town, or the nicest subdivision of this town. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, maybe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. In the game Project Zomboid, this first house is either being packed up for someone moving out of it, or they've just moved in. Nope, for sale. And that doesn't really say much. It doesn't have the sold sign. Chances are it could be someone moving in, and they just bought the house. It's got a few moving boxes inside of it. On the first floor, that is. And what looks like it might be the living room. But it's hard to tell which direction the boxes are going. Are they moving in or moving out? Okay, brick home, and I'm going to use nether brick to, well, maybe I should use a different type of brick. I've only got a few different types. I don't want a really red roof, so I'm going to use nether brick. I mean, not red nether brick instead to do the sides of the house, and I'll see how that looks. I might end up having to use the same brick as the roof. It just depends. There is a window here, and the window next to it, and this looks like this area right here, being so close to the kitchen, would be the dining room. No, that doesn't look right at all. That really doesn't look right. I'm going to use the same block as the roof. The blocks that make up this corner of the house, each of the corners of the house is a bit smaller, but this is the smallest I can make these blocks, since I'm working with meter blocks. looks like 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that design is sort of okay, so I'm going to just start doing the first level, just the first block, instead of doing all of it. 1, 2, 3, then there's a door here. There's a closet right in here. Oh no. There's a door there, and the entrance to the closet is right next to the door, making it a coat closet. Front door. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I'm going to do it on the interior corners as well as the outer corners to keep the design consistent. Because this corner right here in the game isn't, but it might. Maybe I shouldn't. I'm going to see how it looks here and compare it to there. It's kind of hard to tell with design sometimes. Two window. 1, 2. Two, 3, 4. And there's a pantry right here, or a room that's good use for a pantry since it goes right into the kitchen. Maybe this right here. The wall on this side should go all the way back to here, and then there's a nook. 6, 7. So 2, 3. 2, 3. This will be the middle one. There's 2 windows here looking into this nook, and this looks like it's the living room right here. And I'll split this into 2 rooms. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8. I'll give a little bit more to the storage side. Or I could do 3 for both and just move this by 1. 2, 3. Which would make this nook a little bit larger. So this off just a little bit. Okay, this door goes right into the living room. About here. And there's a door that goes right into the kitchen about here. And about here, there's a wall that helps separate the... No, it's not there. It's here. This wall separates the living room from the dining room. And okay. All over a lizard. The kitchen looks like it's made up of white tile, so I'm going to use just white wool since in the city texture packet makes it look like tile. And I'm going to extend this into the pantry. For the living room, it's a wooden floor, and actually not that far off from this birch tiled blocks. It's not the same design, but the type of wood, it looks very similar. Now I'll take care of the bathroom. And one of the things I need to take a look at is how to do the corners and how they look. The corners alone, this nook right here, aren't like the others. They don't have this cornerstone type design. So I think I'll follow exactly how the game does it, since it might be too much to do all of the corners, both the corners turning in and the other ones. All the corners on this thing. One of these days I hope that vanilla Minecraft will give you the ability to make wallpaper. I figure it would be pretty difficult, but it would be useful to be able to make the interior of whatever room you're working on be different than the exterior. Such as with a house like this, the house in the Project Zomboid game, it has white wallpaper. But since there's no wallpaper in here, it means that the walls on the interior end up being the same as the exterior, that being that means brick interior walls, which looks a slightly bit odd. Okay, make sure I've got all the windows. 2 windows in the living room area, or what looks like should be the living room. 1 window in the kitchen, and 2 windows in what looks like should be the dining room. Fairly open design. There's only 1 extra wall, and that's right here. Now to do the doors, both interior and exterior. Solid doors for the interior, closets, bathrooms, and such. This door, because it has a glass panel in it for the exterior. Exterior is in, interior closet door in, the interior to the pantry, bathroom. So 1, 2, 3 interior doors, 1 exterior door. Now the frames are in. And now to work on the second floor. The stairs to the second floor are right here. And I'm going to put part of the roof in. Mostly to let me know exactly where it is. Okay. Now to work on the rest of the house. Second floor. And I forgot to do it right here. Fairly blocky design for the second floor. Second floor has what amounts to an office upstairs, a very large master bathroom, and just 1 bedroom. Our office or small office or a large closet, but not really a closet since it has a window, so an extremely small bedroom. If you could put a bed in there, but not much else. But it makes for a good office based on the size. Window for an office here. 2, 3. And I may make this room just a little bit bigger. Depends. Window at the top of the stairs here. No window along the back of the house. But there is a window in the, master bedroom. And there's a window in the bathroom. There's also a window in what amounts to the hall. Really is a large hall. And this one is lined up with the door underneath it. I'll go in later and I'll work on the ceiling for the first floor after I do this. Mostly I've waited on the first floor because the second floor alters the ceiling of the first floor slightly. There's a door here on the second floor. And this leads to the bathroom. The door to the bedroom is roughly here. Might be a bit too much. Might have to move it. And this depends upon how wide I'm going to make this place. Start putting in part of the floor and up here. There's a rather open area up here that could almost be used as a room. If you were to destroy the stairs in the game Project Zomboid to keep zombies from following you, then one of the windows that would be a good idea to bust out and drop a rope ladder from would be this window, since zombies don't climb rope ladders. And since you've already compromised this room by doing that, then this window is also a secondary exit to drop another rope ladder from down here. So in other words, if zombies are waiting for you underneath one of the ropes, then you could always go down the other one. Gives you more options, I suppose I should say. The door to this room is roughly lined up with this window. And because of this, I'm going to make this here. So, 2. There's a nook here where there's a shower and a bathtub. So I want to put it there. Just enough for it. And there's a door to the bedroom here. What I'm putting in amounts to the ceiling and also the floor, but I can alter the floor on the second floor and use this to give more space underneath by using carpet. The only places I need to alter are right here. And basically where there's walls on the first floor. And that is so there's not a gap. And there's, if I were to use the other part, then it would kind of look a little bit odd. You'd basically see, and I'll use this example right here, that, and that will be lined around. There are other alterations I'm going to need to do on the first floor as well. Some of those are have some tricks I can use to help hide some things. Help hide the ceiling and the roof and make it blend in a bit better. Now I'll make up the bathroom, and I'll use the light blue for the bedroom. And this won't be a problem once you put in the bed, for the city texture pack at least. Some of the other texture packs might look a bit odd because it might show you a little bit underneath it. You can see a little bit right here if you weren't to put the carpet down. But once you have the carpet down, it covers it up nicely. So you don't see the wooden floors underneath it. And I'm going to use this for the office as well. So 3 interior doors on the 2nd floor. Now I have one small area that's really weird up on the top. And you can see it when I went around. So I had to figure out how I'm going to pull that off. Excuse me. And that is because part of the wall is right there. I want the wall to be that wide since that's how it is on the actual game. So I'm going to have to do some slight changes, either up above it or below it. And it looks like the changes have to be above it. Okay, I think I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a clock. hides it. I'm not sure that looks so great, but the second option would be to use carpet over part of the area, and that is this area right here. I'll come back to this. Now I need to check the ceiling on the first floor, see what areas I need to work on. That'll help frame out the kitchen a bit more. I think it looks a bit nicer. Everything looks okay here, and I can do the same thing over here in theory, or I can just do one partial side. This will help frame out part of the living area and separate it from the stairs. Okay, stairs are in. Yeah, I could do a partial carpet. And I think that might handle this up here. And that serves as a base or pillar. No, that doesn't really work either. I'm going to leave the clock in just because And I'm going to see here, put in carpet around it in this specific area. And that'll also help separate this into sections, this hallway into sections. This being the room up here, or open room up here, I should say. It's kind of hard, not exactly sure what you'd call it. But this hallway here to separate in terms of usage and also visualization, with this part right here being the entrance to all the bedrooms and bathrooms and office, and this right here being for a different use, or it could be easily be used for a different use, if that makes sense. Now to do the ceiling for the second floor and also the roof. And what this will also do is it'll create a flex space that could be used as an attic. There is another good reason to use this kind of thing up here, and I'll sort of display that now before I close it in. And that reason is to use, I'll put down a solid block underneath here, and I'll put down water. If you were to make, say for example, a simulation of a bath right here, and I'll show you the difference underneath it. Say that's a bath. Fairly simplistic. If you were to go underneath it, you notice how the water reacts. And I guess it doesn't show on here as much as it does. Now that's interesting. On the PC, if I were to use a slab, oh, it's on the bottom side, I think. You could do this right here. There it is. Excuse me. On the PC, using slabs like this doesn't really always show. I wonder why it does on the PS4. Well, the second option here would be to use light Yeah, it's showing. It's for some weird reason, I think. Okay. That's good to know for the way to fix that is through this right here. That'll give you light, and it'll look a little bit weird up here, but it's not going to be a problem. I mean, you have a bright tub. Normally I'd use this right here to slabs to pull off some things that you couldn't do with solid blocks. There's one definite thing that you can use if you're in a snow biome. If you put down and use slabs instead of solid blocks, then snow won't accumulate on the slabs. And it doesn't matter if the slab is placed on the bottom part of a block or the upper part of a block. It won't. It won't accumulate on slabs, and it also won't accumulate on anything that is also a partial block, such as a carpet. And so you could easily make paths in a snow biome by using that method. And partial block, what I mean by a carpet is, carpet's a partial block, and slabs are partial blocks too. Meaning it only takes up part of the Minecraft block. So you could stand, when I'm standing here, I'm standing part of the way into the block I'm standing on. Whereas on the top part here, I'm standing on top of a block, whereas here I'm standing basically in the block. And the same thing is true of carpet. With carpet, when you're walking on carpet, you're actually walking in the same block that the carpet occupies. Partial blocks only occupy part of a block. However, you can't put two items on one block. So what that means is that when snow tries to accumulate on a solid block or a partial block, and if it tries to accumulate on a partial block, what it thinks is that there's nothing underneath it, basically air, so it can't accumulate there. And since there's no more if statements it can make, if there is an air block below me, or if there's a, well, you have to think of air as a block too in Minecraft. Everything's a block. It doesn't matter what it is, even if it's open air. And when snow falls, basically what it's doing is, or this is also true of sand, is it looks at the lowest block that it can get to, and it keeps looking downward until it gets to that block. When it gets to a partial block, it assumes that it can't do anything, so it looks down below it, and basically it's interrupted, if that makes sense. If it run into a solid block, say this block right here being a solid block, as opposed to these blocks stairs I'm placing down being a partial block, then it would just accumulate on the top of this block. And it's also the same reason why sand breaks in certain situations like that too. And I'll show that example right here. And I'll use a torch too. Torch being an easy way to mine sand. That falls and lands. It lands on this one since this slab is on the upper part. And it might do it here too. I don't know about the differences. Nope. Yeah, it did. What happens here is that when it falls here, there's nothing on the upper part of this block. This being right here. And I'll show this example again. It can see how everything's lined up, but here it's not, because the sand block actually for 1 second occupies the same block as the slab. And two blocks can't occupy the same block in Minecraft, a slab and sand. So when the sand actually gets in there and there's another block in the same thing where it's trying to occupy, it basically breaks. But it doesn't happen here since the slab is on the upper part of the block. So basically when it lands, it's tricked into believing there's a solid block underneath me. Something similar happens here with the torch. What happens here is that it lands on this block right here and it thinks alright, I don't need to fall down any further. So when the block actually tries to generate in this block right here, it sees a torch and two blocks can't occupy the same space, so the sand breaks here as well. And you can actually use this to mine entire columns of sand, each of them falling and breaking as they hit either a torch or a slab on the bottom part of a block. But that falling part only applies to sand and to what's the name of it? Gravel. Okay, everything's okay in there. And that takes care of this first house right here. And I'll place in the driveway now. I'll wait until I've placed in all the houses before I start putting down saplings. Or in this case, at least all the houses along this side of the road, since that will give me enough space to realize exactly where the houses should be. Second option would be to put in this other house over here, depending upon what time I have, and just put in the trees surrounding this house, since each of these houses could alter how the trees look. So it's usually best to put in the trees last. But I should easily have enough to put down the houses along this side of the road. And there are 4 two-story houses. I've just completed the first of the 2-story houses here. Now for the second house. And I know roughly where it should be. So I'm going to place that here and then I'll work my way towards it. Roughly it should be around here. And it actually wasn't that far off. And this fits based on other. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm going to place in the road over here as well while I'm at it, since this driveway gives me a good baseline as to where these two side streets should join. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes, 10 for this too. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm going to create a 2-block line here, and that'll just let me know where it is. And once I've finished putting those 4 houses in, and while I'm allowing the trees to generate on their own, I'll work on this again. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Maybe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay. After this, I might do a redstone city once I complete this build. It's going to take a while still. I think I'm maybe halfway done with this city, but it's not just, no, I'm not even halfway done with the city. Maybe almost halfway done. There's a lot of small houses to do still, and 1 or 2 businesses along the backside. A farmer market or 2, and a hotel, motel I should say. There's a laundromat too, and 1 more chapel I think. And plus I also have the businesses outside of town too. I've got a railway to put in. I've got a large lumber company to place in as well. And there's also along the main road there's another set of businesses and trailers. Okay, this too is a all these houses in this area are brick houses. Maybe I should have used the other brick. I'm going to switch the bricks around this time. As I don't really... If I do that... that makes it complicated. No, I have to stick with the same type of brick. It'll make a little bit less variety of the different houses, but no, I'll use a darker one, and then I'll just use a different type of roof. That seems like the best idea. So I'll use this one as the main part of the house, and this regular brick for the corners of the house. This one has a different type, so it's just not as complicated, I should say. 1, 2. There's a window roughly here. 2, window here. And these windows look into the living room. One, 2, 3, 4. There, the front door is here, and I'll just go ahead and put this part of the driveway in, or walkway from the driveway to the front door. There's a coat closet right next to the front door. There's a window here at the base of the stairs. There's a dining room here. 2, 3, 4. This is not too far off from how far it is from the fence in the back. This one has a pantry and a, well, what could be used as a pantry. It looks like a mudroom, really. And a door here, lead into the back. Mudroom, maybe pantry here, with a bathroom right next to it. And a kitchen here. What looks like a wall to about here, which separates the kitchen and the living room. So a fairly open design. For the kitchen, I'll use this white wool since it looks like tile. And it actually looks like the tile in the game for a change. And I'll extend that to the bathroom. For the mudroom, I'll just use stone. For the dining room, for the living room, and I guess you could say the foyer, I'll use birch wood. It's a bit of red to go with this nether brick, but it still works. At least I think it does. To make sure I've got all the frames for the windows in, and I'll place those in as well. 2 in the living room right here, looking towards the road. There's 1 in the kitchen, and it looks like it lines up with this wall over here. And the windows will look strange for the moment since there's nothing next to it. When you put down glass, with nothing on the same level as it is, then it just looks like a glass rod sticking out of the ground. There's no windows in the back of this house, but there are 2 exterior doors here in the back, going into a mudroom which leads to the kitchen, and the front door here. Actually, I might not put in the I might put in the corner blocks. There's 1 here, 1 here. Here, I can always replace these. 1 here, probably. 1 here. And here. Okay, I'm slightly off here. So I need to fix that before I move on. But that's not going to be too much of a problem. It just means that I made the mudroom and the bathroom smaller than what they actually are. And also the kitchen smaller by extension. So that's fixed. For the walls fixed. I've got to alter the interior now. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to place that in here. Still a large enough bathroom. Mudroom is a little bit larger, but kind of makes sense, I think, to do it this way. See, that alters this right here. Can make the dining room a bit larger. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to do that instead. 1, 2, 3, 4. It'll make the dining room 1 block larger, and I think that makes a huge difference. Yeah, it looks a bit nicer. Shift this one over by 1. Yeah, it looks a bit nicer. Looks better, I should say. Not nicer. Interior doors are in. 1 to the coat closet. 1 to the bathroom. 1 to the mudroom pantry. And 2 exterior doors, front door and back door to the mudroom. Okay, all the windows are in now. To place in the part of this roof and the second floor. The second floor is made up of 2 bedrooms, potentially 3, although the third bedroom is incredibly small. It would make for an interesting office too, but in this Project Zomboid game there's a bed in there. And it looks like it's just big enough for the bed. The room, that is. Yeah, I made a mistake. I used the wrong brick. There. So I've got some more repair work to do. Actually, that's fine. This is a little bit off. I need to fix this. Okay, there's a hallway here. And first I'll work on the other stuff. There's a window here, above where the stairs begins, in line with the window underneath it. And I'm going to extend this out. There's a hallway here. And I should put in the stairs first. Interesting enough, on the first floor behind the stairs is enough space for a closet, but there's not really in the game a door there. Really what could be right here is a door and a butler's pantry underneath the closet, underneath the stairs I should say. There's a bedroom right here. There's a storm that might end the stream a bit early. Just depends upon how things go. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Roughly it should be here for the bedroom, for the third bedroom. Let me take a look at the first floor again. No, that's not a problem. That is weird. Okay, I see now what I did. Yeah. Should be starting from here. So, if that's the case. One, two, three, four. And part of this I got thrown off by is that it's not all the house is visible. You only see it from the play area from a certain angle. actually this should be there. So sometimes it's easy to get thrown off on the areas that are not visible. Or not as visible, especially if you're using an online map as opposed to the actual game. Let's leave this like this. Okay. There. One, two. There's a window here for one of the bedrooms. Okay, the bathroom is right next to this bedroom. One, two. It has a window right roughly here. Two, three, four, five, six, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 13. A bit too much, I suppose. So I'll move the window over by 1. Although 6 each. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll do that. It's not so bad. It works for the bathroom and also for this third bedroom. Because of the distortions in Minecraft, it looks a little bit larger than what it does in the game. The door to this bedroom is right next to the same door to the bathroom. Let's move it over just slightly. And the hallway should roughly be here. And this next bedroom is going to be a little bit complicated to do. It's a weird angle. The door being roughly there. Not quite in line with the door to the bathroom. And sort of in between these two doors. This one's flush with this wall. And place it over by 1. can get up and down the stairs okay, so I'm going to close off the top part of the stairs right here, and this will be this bedroom. See if I got all the windows in. I've got window into this oddly shaped bedroom, and it's nearly fully on the inside of the house. The larger of the bedrooms is right here, and this window looks out towards the first house I worked on. A window in the bathroom looking out the same direction. There's a window in this room right here, flush with a wall. There's also a window in this hallway looking out over the fence and the road. Everything's in and lined up, and now I'll work on the ceiling for the first floor and the floor for the second floor. This one is a bit more complicated than the other because of how the rooms are laid out. So I'm going to have to work both on the above on the second floor, and then go to fix any errors that appear on the first ceiling of the first floor. How I'm going to fix the second floor is simply by using carpet. That will allow me to have a different floor for the second floor than I have as a ceiling on the first floor. Because if I just used a block, then the floor on the second floor would be identical to whatever's on below it, and that would throw quite a few things off. So what I'm going to do is place down this slab. Maybe I should change. The slab will allow me to place down carpet. I don't think it's too much of a problem to have maybe the ceiling and the roof look identical in some places. I'll fix that from the bottom. I'm going to do two different types of slabs and alter them based on where they are. Using spruce will give a darker ceiling to it and make the dining room stand out a bit more. I don't want to change this because that will mean well, I could put carpet in the hallway and that'll work. I'm going to use carpet for the hallway on the second floor. I would have preferred to have used birch since it kind of is a nice type of wood for flooring, but sometimes it doesn't work like that. I am, however, going to use birch for the ceiling of the kitchen because that goes well with the floor underneath it. Since I'm using white wool, and in the city texture pack, white wool looks like white tile. And this part I'm going to fix by creating a line of molding. And that's also going to help with the design of this because I can use this molding or this molding in the ceiling to separate the living room or the living area from the rest of the more open first floor. It points out exactly where the living room is, and the partial wall separates the dining room from the living room and the kitchen well enough as it is. And the use of birch for these slabs right here is a good separation for the kitchen. Well, the birch ceiling for the kitchen allows me to, I guess you could say, separate it. Although I'm going to have to put in some molding here too, because of the nature of the roof. But that gives it a pretty nice look in the kitchen. And I could do the same thing for the dining room as well, and that'll give them a more unified look. The pity is that I don't have too terribly much options for molding. I have slab and I have stairs. I think I could use stairs. So I'm going to alter the molding to be stairs rather than a slab. It should give the same, it'll work the same on the second floor. And it'll make the molding in the dining room a bit different. And I'll do the same thing out here. It'll make the molding a bit thinner, which is a benefit, since it'll look more like molding and less like a huge block up there. I can't make it fancy, but sometimes even simple is pretty nice too. I need to put down some torches. inches. For the moment at least. Okay, that looks nice. It looks better in the kitchen, so I'm going to extend that out here. Sometimes things like that happen when you design. Best to be flexible. Sometimes you just think of better ways to do things as you're building.
to put in the carpet. I'm going to use light blue for the main bedroom. Going to be a little bit odd on where the doors are. I'm going to have to fix that from below. The wallpaper for the second bedroom is red, so I'll use that as the floor of this one. No, I'm going to switch it to yellow. The yellow works a lot better, I think. No, it's too bright. I'm going to use pink then. No, that doesn't work with the... I'm going to use the same type of blue. The problem is I don't have that many type of brick. So by using this darker brick right here, it doesn't really work all that well with reds or pinks. And it doesn't work with yellow since it's a bit too bright. I'm going to use white wool for the bathroom and also this third bedroom, since it could also be used as an office. And also the hallway, I suppose. I don't want to use brown because of the bricks on the wall. It also means I'm going to have to alter how it looks underneath it, because I can't put carpet and doors in the same block. Four interior doors in, one for the each bedroom, and one for the bathroom. Frames for the doors are in. Now I've got to fix what I've done to be able to put those doors in. These, I don't have, wait. Each of these wooden blocks represent where the doors are. And they're in interesting places, to say the least. One option I have is to just extend just use it as a door frame. I'm going to have to do that. just go up and I'll alter the door frame for the two doors that are above the birch ones, so they'll have a slightly different. Actually, they'll have a slightly different door frame than the other doors. That's not too much of a problem, since one goes into what could be an office, the third bedroom, and the other goes into the bathroom. It'll look a bit different and it'll look a bit odd, but as long as I keep the door frame above and below the same, then it should be okay. And it's just one compromise I'm gonna have to live with. There's not really an easy fix for that. And that's how this house is. I could easily do it with some of the other houses, but the second floor is just arranged differently, I suppose. And not really arranged in such a way that I could hide certain aspects like I could on the first house I worked on. And this will create a bit of a flex space like many of the other roofs that could be used as an attic. One advantage to using slabs in this fashion is the fact that you could put a chest underneath it and still open it, whereas if it were a solid block, you would not be able to. And I'll show you that example right now. A chest here and a chest here with a block over it, and this chest with a slab over it. Now this one you can't open it because basically it's being blocked. This one, however, you can. So it's a good way you can actually have an attic up here and use the blocks underneath these slabs as a space saver. The same thing is true if it were directly over it. As you can see, the chest still opens. And this is also true if you have a situation in which you put glass over these slabs. If you put glass on top of a trunk, you can still open it. I may as well go ahead and show that as well. As you can see, the trunk still opens. And that's because even though glass is a solid block, it doesn't have the same properties as a solid block. If you were to put water over glass, it won't leak like a solid block would leak. Or won't have droplets of water fall down. It's not really leaking, it's just when you have water on top of a solid block and air beneath it, then water droplets will fall. However, if you do the same thing and you have a solid block such as glass, then water droplets won't fall. So it can be an aesthetic thing. If you're making a tunnel in which you want to make water fall from the ceiling, just create a line of blocks and put water in it. And I'll take a short break and show how you do that right here. And I'm using mossy stone blocks for the atmosphere. A tunnel 2 blocks wide. And then all you need to do here is just place water. And what happens underneath is that water droplets will fall. So you can really work with the atmosphere of a place if you use this trick. So if you're working on, say for example, an underwater temple, you could use this. Or if you're working on basically a tunnel under a river, or just anywhere you want to add atmosphere to it. And doing it like that will make it look like the person really doesn't know if the tunnel is going to collapse on them or what's going to happen. This makes it a little bit more moody. Okay, so this second house is in. And now I'm going to do the driveway for it. Then move on to the third house. There is one more thing I do need to do for this house. This house has a tool shed from the looks of it in the back. The house has a dark wood paneling in 2 different types. One for the wood that makes up the first. It's a 1-story building, not very big, but it has 3 different type of wood, 4 different type of woods. One type for the door, one for the for the walls that make up the first story, one for the roof, and one for the part of the roof part of the wall that lines up with the roof. I'm not exactly sure what that's called. The walls itself look like birch. And I'm going to line it up with this door right here. The door to the shed. And there's a window right next to the door. 1, 2, 3, 4. Should be big enough for it. There might be a window in this. No, there's one window. The thing about it with a game like Project Zomboid is that this building is basically a death trap, so you don't want to stay in it. Because there's only one way out, basically. And well, there's two ways out, but they're right next to each other. So in other words, if you were being chased by a pack of zombies, if you were to enter, there's no way to escape. And eventually they are going to break down that window. The window will go first, and the door will follow eventually. So basically you will have trapped yourself. If the area, however, is secure, it's a decent place to store some things. I'm going to use acacia for the roof. It'll be a little bit odd because the fence on the other side is also of acacia. But in the Project Zomboid game, it looks like whoever built this tool shed used the same type of wood for both, so that's not a problem. That will take care of that shed. Okay, on to the third house. This too is a 2-story house. This one also has a flower bed in the back. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. 6, and the driveway should start here. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, however, from the road. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And the house starts roughly here. And this house has a similar design to the first house I was working on. In fact, this design is identical. First floor is identical to this other house. There is one minor difference, however. This house right here doesn't have a partial wall which separates the living room from the kitchen. In this house, however, the back part of the house looks like it's a dining room. And it looks like they put the living room in the front part of the house right next to the kitchen. And taking a look at the second story is identical. There is no difference in the second story except for the wallpaper. Doing it this way puts the bathroom going right into the living room, and it makes the living room a bit big. Not the living room, but the bathroom in this house goes right into the dining room, not the living room. Whereas on the other, the bathroom went right into the living room. You enter the bathroom through the living room. You enter the bathroom here through the dining room. And it makes the dining room a bit larger, although it looks a bit awkward. And the living room seems to be it seems to work for the living room too, but it looks a bit better when you put in the living room on the other side. The other house, it's kind of hard to tell exactly what they were planning, since in the other house it looks like somebody either was moving in or moving out. So it's hard to know exactly what would have been the living room or the dining room. But based upon how everything is set up, it looks like the front part of the house would have had the dining room, since it opens up right into the kitchen. But like I said, that's only speculation, since somebody either was moving in the house when the zombie attack happened in Project Zomboid, or something, or they were moving in or moving out. One, two, three, four. The front door is roughly here. Coat closet right next to it, door being here. While I'm at it, I'll put in the walkway from the driveway to the front door, and I'll use stone for that. Two, three, four. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, maybe. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's a kitchen is part of a nook in the house. Extends out, I should say. Maybe. 2, 3, 4. Okay, this works with the back. I had to cut another nook out. Okay, 1, 2. Window roughly here. Window here. And that should be the nook in the back. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3. And that 3 will be the bathroom and also the pantry. Okay, the entrance to the bathroom is here, and the entrance to the pantry is here, going right into the kitchen. There is a small wall here, which has the refrigerator, and there's also a small wall here that separates the kitchen from the living room. Use birch for the wood floorings for the living room and the dining room. I'll use white wool for the pantry, the bathroom, and the kitchen, since it looks like tile. I'll also use birch for the coat closet as well. Three interior doors, one to the pantry, one to the bathroom, and one to the coat closet. One exterior door, front door. Two windows looking into the living room. Two windows looking into the dining room. There's a kitchen window. I need to fix this right here. I'll probably need to do the same thing here. Okay, kitchen window here. And that should handle the frames for the exterior part of it and the windows. Just did the interior doors. Still have the closet to do. Okay, that takes care of the frames for the, well, front door. Okay, the frames for the doors, windows are in. Okay, a window in the hallway lined up with the front door. And I put more in on the, let's see, take a look at the first floor again. No, that didn't miss anything. Okay. 1, 2, there's a window here. One, two, there's a window here. This one looks into the bathroom. Window over here looks into the bedroom, or one of the bedrooms. There's also a window here, which looks into one of the bedrooms, which could be used as an office. A very small bedroom. There's one more, which looks over the stairs. Here, 1, 2, about right here, probably. 3, 4. And that'll make the bathroom, with the door being roughly here. And the door, I think I'm doing it a little bit off. No. The door to the bedroom being here. Might have to alter it based on how this goes. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No problem, I'll just move this over by 1. Part of this is distortions because of the blocks again. Okay, I will be able to use wood for the main hallway. I'll have to cut out the blocks for the stairs and do that in a few moments. The bedrooms has a purple. I use magenta for the second bedroom. Purple wallpaper for the bedroom in the second bedroom. And I'll use light blue for the main bedroom. Wish I had more of a tan carpet. And white carpet for the upstairs bathroom, since it looks like tile.
use these stairs to create a molding effect. Shoot. I have to fix the carpet in the roof, or the second floor, for a couple of these.
it looks like 3 houses are about all I could do in the stream, simply because these houses are 2-story houses. So what I'm going to do now is put in the spruce trees, and I've already put them in. I'm going to let them grow, and well, I'll do a couple passes along this road to fill it, to excavate it. Once the spruce trees are in, then I'll start putting in the birch and oak trees to fill out those trees, and also put in where the higher grass is. 10. That's good. I was off by 1 or 2. soon as I complete this line, I'll take a look at the spruce trees and start using bone meal and then place in birch and oak. For the most part, the spruce trees are in, except for one or two here or there. And it usually takes a little while for spruce trees to come in, even if they don't have any other blocks around them that could impede them spawning in. That's why I've gotten into a habit of placing them down first. I'll use birch trees to give contrast between the darker logs of the spruce, birch trees are contrast to the darker wood of the spruce, and I'll use oak to fill in the areas. The hardest ones to grow are, starting with, of the single trees, it's spruce, then birch, and then oak. Other trees I'm using here, there's also acacia, but I haven't really done much with acacia yet, and it does have a kind of odd pattern in how acacia are put up. Well, how acacia are generated, I should say. Generated from these saplings. Most of these other trees are generally generated straight up from the sapling. That being the spruce tree, the birch tree, and a good portion of the types of oak trees that can be generated. Just alter in terms of height. Some of the oak trees can also have side branches. And there's one that you can see in the background right here. This large tree right here is an example of a oak tree with side branches that can branch out from where it's generated. It means you have to be pretty careful if you're placing oak trees near buildings or places where you don't want oak tree to hang over. If you're working with a wooden building or a log house, it can make a huge impact and can actually grow into your house. So that is another concern. With bricks, it's not as much of a concern, but it's something to keep in mind. Okay, with that in, I'll just put in the higher grass blocks. I'm going to do the fence later. And that's after I put in that third house on the street. And there's quite a bit of high grass between these two houses. And also between these two houses. Okay, now set up for the third house. I'll put in this third house the next time I stream Project Minecraft. And when I put in that house, I'll also work on this fence right here. And that is it for this stream. Thank you very much for watching.